Middle Eastern niche tobacco fragrances. Let's talk about them.
Here's some codes to save you some cash on your next Middle Eastern niche or designer fragrances.
Today we're going to be talking about 4 fragrances from Ibrahim Alqurashi, and they're all a part of this tobacco lineup. So let's just go ahead and get started with some of the ones that I already wore. And the first one I want to start off with is Spanish Tobacco. So this one is an aquatic take on tobacco fragrances. I'm going to be looking at the notes here. We've got aquatic notes: saffron, cacao, amber, Spanish tobacco, with a base, strangely enough, of iris. So this one is extremely loud, and it's exactly that. It's an aquatic take on tobacco, really different. And I found this one to be something that can cause you to go nose blind. You want to be careful with the trigger of this fragrance. If you have a taste for niche fragrances, performance, things of that nature, but you still like your freshies, you definitely want to check this one out. I get like Versace Pour Homme vibes, and I mean like maybe 30-40%. This is miles above anything like that, that's for sure. But there's a distinctive light colored tobacco vibe in this fragrance as well. There's a saffron note in this fragrance. It's not really anything metallic, but it does contribute a little bit of the spice vibe, and it really just enhances the entire DNA and adds like this sparkle effect to the entire blue and aquatic vibe. So Spanish tobacco gives me easily 10, 12 plus hours, but it doesn't really stick too much on clothing, at least to my nose. I genuinely believe that I just went nose blind to this, because within hour 8 I went to the gym and one of my friends approached me and said that whatever you're wearing, you fill the entire place up, and it smells like fresh but also tobacco. And I was pretty surprised because I couldn't pick it up anymore, and I think that this is just honestly so strong that your nose just eventually just stops picking it up. Next one I want to talk about is Dominican Tobacco. So Dominican Tobacco by Ibrahim Alqurashi, another tobacco that's done with more dense, deeper notes, specifically that orchid. Opens up extremely pungent, some of that cinnamon and that Dominican tobacco, very earthy. It's got this ethereal dirt vibe, but it's super gorgeous opening. It starts to adopt this more dank and wet dark woods vibe, but then the orchid does start to shine through, and the orchid does kind of overtake this fragrance a little bit. But if you enjoy orchid as a note, you're gonna really like this one. Pungent tobacco and super wet dark woods. Believe it or not, this has bergamot and neroli at the base and saffron. You're not really gonna pick up any of those until later on, and it just contributes like this orange undertone to everything from that neroli specifically. The saffron does carry on the pull from that cinnamon. A little bit unusual, but extremely nice if you like pungent tobacco fragrances, because this is like exactly that. Beast mode. Dark woods, tobacco, and orchid. That's basically what you're gonna get with Dominican Tobacco. The next one I want to talk about is called Jamaican Tobacco. Jamaican Tobacco has amber, agarwood, patchouli at the top, and then we've got cedar, oud. This is the first one that has the oud, at least to my knowledge. Jamaican Tobacco, birch, vetiver, and jasmine. So I haven't yet put this on. This is gonna be the first time that I smell this one, and this actually smells extremely nice. This is mostly oud. You get something of saffron. Even though it's not listed here, I do pick up some saffron and a tobacco undertone to it all. But in the forefront, it's gonna be the amber and the oud. It's quite strange to have amber right at the top, but it's definitely there. It's just this warm, earthy oud, patchouli, oud, and then the backdrop of that tobacco. Surprisingly enough, although the jasmine is in the base, it shines through pretty early on, and I think that's that honeyed rose vibe that I'm getting. Rather, it's coming from that jasmine. You gotta enjoy oud fragrances for this one, but it seems like it's gonna be extremely strong: oud, tobacco, and jasmine. Although this one's pretty strong and it does what it's doing extremely well, this smells a little bit familiar. Not sure exactly what fragrance I can pinpoint this to, but it's the most familiar of all 3. But the familiarity is not a bad thing whatsoever. Jamaican Tobacco, oud, tobacco, and jasmine. So far we're at 3 fragrances from the tobacco lineup, and they're all unique. They're genuinely nothing alike each other, which I think is a plus for the whole, tobacco lineup. But also the one thing that I want to touch on is the performance with all these fragrances, because I know I'm going to be asked a lot of questions in regards to that. These are all beastly stuff. Like when I sniff these bad boys, I'm just seasoned, honestly, and I can put them this close, but most people won't even put it this close. My nose has been through hell and back, but trust me, these are all beast mode performing fragrances. This is going to lead me to the last fragrance that I have in my collection, and the last one in my collection we're going to be talking about is Cuban Tobacco. High hopes for this one. So far, the one that I'm enjoying the most has to be Jamaican Tobacco because of that oud and jasmine combination. But I think the one that stands out the most of all 3 is Dominican Tobacco now because of that pungency. It's really bold and strong. It's very nice. but the one that I think is going to be the most easy or the most mass appealing of all is going to be Spanish tobacco, which is still not that mass appealing. But that's what you get with niche fragrances. You get your money's worth for sure, and you get something unique. So here we go. Last one, high hopes, because it's got cacao, leather, and Cuban tobacco at the freaking top. Heart notes of sandalwood, suede, and vanilla. Oh my god, this is going to be dense. With a base of honey and coconuts. What? Let's go. Honestly, these fragrances, they need to be worn. I've already got a full review on Spanish tobacco and Dominican tobacco, but I know that a lot of people have a demand for some of these. I wanted to pump out this video to kind of just let you guys know off the rip, are these even worth the full review? But so far, I feel like Jamaican tobacco is definitely going to be worth the review, and I felt like this would be a good way to really determine together whether or not some of these are worth the review. This is a review channel that's centered around my audience, so if you guys see something in these first impressions or anything like that that you want a full review on, I'm definitely going to be reading the comments, and I will consider placing that on the top of the list. So Jamaican tobacco, while I don't have a full review, will be a full review very soon, and Cuban tobacco hopefully will be as well. As soon as I see these funky notes and different placements, I know that this is going to be an extremely transitional fragrance because both of these other fragrances were. So here we go, extremely broad distribution. I'm not really a fan of that atomizer, but it is what it is. I thought Dominican tobacco was pungent. This is more pungent. A huge blast of leather and Cuban tobacco. It smells like earth, like soil, which is not bad. Blended with leather. It's settling now. It's gonna get better. It's settling. The pungency is decreasing. That soil vibe is coming down a little bit. Now I'm getting that fuzzy leather vibe. Super heavy dose of leather. I mean, we've got leather and we've got suede. Cacao is not really anything noticeable here. Unfortunately, I was hoping that this would be like chocolate dense or vanilla dense, but no. Some of these notes, actually I noticed that a lot of these fragrances, they use like tandem notes or fragrance notes that kind of pass over the pole to each other during the mid and the dry down. So if you have something like saffron at the top, you're gonna have cinnamon in the mid, and then you're gonna have something that is a little bit more toned down in the base. So it kind of just keeps the vibe, but it transitions, and that's excellent for exactly that, transitional fragrances. And this does the same thing. The top has leather, the mid has suede. And then at the top, we've got cacao, which is like, it could be powdery, could be creamy. And then we've got this sandalwood. It's actually getting sweeter now that we're in the mid phase of this fragrance. The top was just straight up soil. The mid was becoming just this fuzzy leather suede. And now some of that honey is starting to creep through, adding some sweetness to this. And the vanilla is shining through as well. Vanilla isn't really dosed up that high, but it's something you're not going to really pick up until the honey starts to creep through. Not getting much of a coconut, but not bad. Not bad so far. Pungent, earthy tobacco at the top with a lot of leather. It almost has like this soil vibe, which then dries down into suede. You're going to start to get a little bit of this vanilla. It's not this dense or resinous or anything like the Madagascar bourbon vanilla that you'll find in something like Baby Cat, but rather more natural smelling vanilla that's then transferred into like this natural golden sweetness from that honey vibe. And I haven't really gotten anything of that coconut yet. Very earthy, very leathery, not much cacao, if any at all, and a base of sweetness. Not bad, pretty interesting, and a transitional fragrance. All four of these are gonna be exactly that. That's pretty much it from the Ibrahim Alqurashi tobacco lineup. If you're interested in an in-depth review of any one of these two fragrances, which I haven't done yet, please let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed watching this video, please make sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button. 85% of you guys that watch my videos haven't subscribed yet. What's going on? What are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button, and until the next one, peace.